Welcome to the episode 149 of Gyan Pravah, the Fogsi Presidential Podcast Initiative. Today's episode promises laughter, leadership, and lots of behind the scenes stories as we dive into the lesser known yet fascinating journey of the Joint Secretary of Fogsi. It's a role filled with responsibilities, relationships, resolutions, and let's be honest, a few late night calls and last minute surprises too. And who better to unravel it all than someone who's lived it with energy, dedication, and a whole lot of grace? We're absolutely delighted to welcome our guest today, Dr. Amay Purandre. He's an outstanding gynecologist, educator, and administrator, the Joint Secretary of Foxy 2019, and now is the Joint Treasurer 2025 to 2027. He's played pivotal roles in various leadership positions, including Senior Vice President of AMOX. He's the President-elect of AMOX, Clinical Secretary and Mentor at MOGS, and an impactful force in the Manyata project for safe childbirth. Dr. Amay's academic journey is decorated with multiple gold medals and prestigious awards, including the Foxy Young Scientist Award, the Pride of Foxy Award, and the V for Stree Puraskar by the Governor of Maharashtra. He has also contributed actively as a peer reviewer, paper presenter, and a mentor to young minds, embodying both excellence and humility. From leading quality care initiatives to supporting women's health and empowerment, his journey reflects a perfect blend of clinical brilliance, organizational leadership, and deep compassion. Sir, thank you for taking out time for being here. Before we begin with our podcast, Dr. Sunita usually logs in for these, but unfortunately, she's in a flight right now and is not able to come. So we've got Dr. Ashwini Kalia with us, the current Joint Secretary of Foxy. What an apt person to be there for today's topic. Her warmth, wisdom, and commitment to the fraternity has always stood out. Whether it's mentoring the next generation or steering key initiatives, her presence adds meaning and momentum to every gathering. Dr. Ashwini, ma'am, thank you for being with us today. It's a privilege to have your encouragement and support. May I request you to say a few words?
Yeah, thank you so much, Rohan, for the kind introduction. And it is going to be a very amazing podcast today to actually hear how it felt as a joint secretary. I mean, I can experience it a bit. I'm midway through the journey. So I can truly say that it is fun. And plus, at times, it is all about late night calls and a lot of backlash also. So who better than Amay, who's also been a personal mentor for me. He's one of those few seniors in Foxy, I must say, to whom you can give a call any time of the day. And there is always a solution to your problem. And he would always give you an unbiased opinion. So I'm so glad, Amay, that you could join in today for this podcast. And I think I'll join in from the viewers link and wishing you all the very best, Rohan, for this outstanding podcast and this out of the box idea, actually, because nobody ever thought about the joint secretary and their journey also.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's something that I would say both my mentors are on this dais right now. Anytime I know I need any help, I can either call you or Amay sir, and I know my problems get solved. As you said, you all are the solution givers, not someone who actually comes up with the problems. You'll always have solutions for every incident. So Ashwini ma'am, thank you. We're looking forward to seeing you from the viewers link, and I hope you enjoy the podcast from there.
Yes, thank you, Rohan. Bye, Amay. Bye, Rohan.
Thank you, Ashwini,
Thank you,
for
ma'am.
those kind words.
So now let's dive into the heart of this episode, life as a joint secretary. And let's hear directly from Amay sir, who's not only held the post, but redefined it with flair, foresight, and fun. Firstly, sir, thank you so much for accepting my invitation to come for this podcast. I think this is a journey which is very under it goes under the blanket. Like nobody really understands what the work is behind the scenes, and I think it's time that we highlighted your journeys as well. So thank you for being here, sir.
First of all, thank you, Rohan, for those kind words of appreciation and acknowledgement. When you called me up to invite this, I thought that, this secret will remain with me all my life, and very few people like you have seen it firsthand, so I thought it will remain there. But you insisted that I share this journey and all that I experienced with all our Foxy members. I'm thankful to Dr. Sunita Tandulwadkar, the present Foxy president, for starting this podcast, which helps all our Foxians see the different virtues in every human's life and their commitment, their passion, their journey not just from the Foxy point of view, but basically from the human and human resolve point of view. I think it's a very unique and very appreciative initiative by the Foxy president. And I think it's something that will enrich all the Foxians every week or every day that with the frequency that you all carry out the podcast. I'm sure not only will it be entertaining, definitely, but more importantly, it will be inspiring for all of us to use those important life messages, life journeys, motivation, etc., in our day-to-day life and practice.
Absolutely, sir. I think your words are so inspiring for all the youngsters out there. I think today they're going to understand what the entire journey of Foxy is. So now that you said that I was going to, you were going to take this secrets down, this away with you and going to keep it to yourself. So let's begin with that from the start. Uh, I understand there are a lot of things to it. When you're being the joint secretary, you need to be in communication with the president. I always used to joke about the fact that I'm the joint secretary to the joint secretary, so because I got to work firsthand with you. Let's talk about the real work behind the title. What was some of the unexpected tasks or the hidden job descriptions, as we call them, when it comes to the Foxy joint secretary?
So I think, first of all, I'm thankful to Dr. Nandita Palshetkar for having chosen me as her joint secretary. She must have seen something in me to have realized that I should be a part of her team and an integral and trustworthy part of her team. So I'm very much thankful to her. I remember she called me up one day and she said, listen, I'm thinking of choosing you as my joint secretary. Are you interested? So I said, yes, ma'am. She said, why don't you come over? Let me see if our thoughts meet, if our wavelengths align with each other. So I was a little overawed with the whole thing because finally, madam is a larger than life personality. Her vision, her dreams, her mission is really has no bounds, and whether I would be able to live up to her expectations and whether I would be able to do justice to the post was the thoughts that were running in my mind when I was traveling to your residence. Yes. The meeting was a very informal one. She made me feel at ease. And I realized that what she was looking from me was two important things. The key word was loyalty. Loyalty to her as an individual and loyalty to the role and the organization as a mission. Once I realized that and it sunk into me, the job was very easy. So I knew that at no time I had to compromise the loyalty to her and her thought and her, position or her vision. And number two, to the organization. It was just a one-year post, but I had to ensure that what we had planned, dreamt, we had to execute to the maximum. So that was the first meeting. A lot of people put in a lot of things into my mind about the post, but I sort of filtered them out once I met madam. And I think the biggest thing was that she gave me a lot of independence, and she had a lot of trust in what I was doing because she believed that I was doing it for the greater good of the year and the greater good of Foxy and the greater good of women's health. And that helped me a lot. Never did I feel insecure, scared, overburdened, tentative throughout the year. So I think the greater credit goes to her for picking me up, and not just picking me up, but mentoring me and giving me all the opportunity and all the freedom.
Absolutely, sir. I think that is like the real work which actually I saw you do through the entire. In fact, it wasn't just through the entire year. We began almost a year in advance with the entire planning. Just to all our viewers out there, Amay sir always used to joke about the fact that Rohan, you need to keep a room ready for me. Pata nahi when I'm going to get kicked out. I'm at your house more than my own house. But that was something which was always there. So, can you share one memorable moment from your that year which you remember very vividly?
I think you know the memorable moment. It was to have Sachin for our C2D2 conference. The conference was a challenge because Madam thought that, it would be difficult for just three of us, you, me, and Pratik, to bring it out in the way we did. I think we were also pretty junior in that time, but I think it was our youthful energy, our sincerity, and our belief, and obviously Madam's guidance and support that helped us to be on stage with him, to talk to him, to ensure that he came, because I kept pestering Madam throughout the year, that Madam, we should try to get a sports star, and who better than that than
Absolutely.
so I think that was the big part of the year. And finally, a second important thing was to be acknowledged by both Dr. Nandita Palshetkar and Dr. Jaideep Tang to have been one of Fogsy's good joint.
Absolutely, sir. I think that was also one of my core memories. I still remember you and I was sitting through the night, making sure what were the literally the route he would take to come up to the hall to decide what his security detail. We were continuously conversing with them. And I think, sir, you missed out a very integral part of that. The part where you introduced him and told Sachin that you had bowled to him in your younger days while playing cricket in that time.
He still holds that grudge because my school team is the only team which has beaten him, and not in his trophy cabinet. That particular trophy is not with him, in spite of him being the player of the season that year. So I had to remind him about it, but I think it was all in good.
It was all in fun. It was all in fun. In fact, I remember he was even taking it so sportingly when we were actually chatting with him before going on stage, where we actually discussed this. And it was so nice and warm of him also to be. He actually remembered it when you reminded him. He's like, "Haan, tu thotas."
Yeah.
But honestly, sir, I think yes, that is one of even my core memories with you, where that was in fact my first inauguration where you mentored me through it, where we actually conducted the inauguration. And then this year I actually got the opportunity to do the inauguration for the AICOG, which wouldn't have been possible if I didn't know what were the protocols and all.
You are far higher in the race, higher in the quality than I am. So
No, sir, I've got the right mentors at the right time. So that's why it's easier for me. They always say your mentors make the path a little bit easier. And thank you for doing that for me, sir. Okay. Um, the joint secretary doesn't come with only yeses and nos. You have to handle a wide variety of people. That's not only your chairpersons of the committees, but also a variety of other people who are involved in the day-to-day working of Foxy. How did you manage these diverse teams, and any friendly power struggles that you had to go through? And so we want an honest answer at this point.
So I think, Rohan, the most important on that list was my equation with the Foxy president, Dr. Nandita Palshetkar. I sort of used to understand what her mood would be. I used to, in my computer here, whether that would, her thought or whatever would amplify the whole year, would be beneficial to the whole year. And like I told you, she was extremely gracious enough to accept my honest opinion. Most of the times it was in agreement with her because, like I told you, she's a woman with great vision. There were times where I had to tweak it a little bit. I have taken your help as well. When I knew that it was not just me alone who could, change an opinion. But well, first and foremost, you need to align with the president's policy and the president's thought. Number two is there is a lot of hierarchical there is a very streamlined hierarchical system in Foxy involving a lot of people. They are there because of the work that they have done. There are senior people there. and they have to be respected and acknowledged, even though at times they may not be in agreement with what the president's policy is. And that's where you need to explain to them extremely courteously, extremely politely, to tell them that this is there, to explain to them, okay, to accept their point of view. I think one great lesson in that joint secretary year of mine is that if I was listening 10% before, I started listening 110% during the year, and that has rubbed off. I sort of started listening to another person's point of view rather than imposing my point of view or the president's point of view before. Strangely, I realized that that's beneficial, because many a times you think from one point of view and then you get something which is ready-made from an opposite point of view, which you never thought of because you are so zoned into what you want to do, and that was beneficial. You have to be extremely inclusive. You know, the vice presidents are above you in hierarchy. They have to be respected. Many of my vice presidents were friends with me. We were colleagues, same age. But still, I gave them the due respect because they were the vice presidents, and that
Respecting
helped
the
them.
position.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that helped them a lot. I think they went on to overwork for us much more than what we had anticipated. It's a 24/7 job. You don't know, there are many surprises. You have to put the straight face on and listen to people, because not everybody will always be happy, but at least provide them solutions and assure them honestly that you will look into their problems. And most of the times, these situations are taken care of.
Absolutely. Obviously, sir, you talked about how about handling all of these peoples, but this role as a joint secretary, since you said it's for 1 year and it's sort of like a once in a lifetime position as well, because that's actually like a stepping stone to the future steps of the Foxy hierarchy. Um, what does this role teach you about diplomacy, patience, and multitasking?
Like I told you, you require a lot of patience for this position. I won't call it diplomacy, but I'll call it statesmanship. It brings in you statesmanship. You start talking with a sense of balance. You talk with an unbiased way. At the same time, you align everybody and you include everybody in the president's mission, the president's theme, etc. The theme for Dr. Nandita's year was V for Stree, and it was an extremely catchy theme, but more so it was an extremely purposeful theme. And we had to rally all the Foxians from the north to the south, east, west, everybody through the various initiatives, academic, social, fellowship, collaborative, etc., along this theme. You have to be diplomatic at times, because there may be certain difference of opinions between people, and you have to be the buffer there to, smoothen things, try to soften things, etc. I think before Foxy, joint secretary, I didn't have those skills to that extent, though a lot of people say that, yeah, maybe you had them, they didn't get an opportunity. But in that year, I experienced that I could use those skills much better. And I think I acquired or developed a lot of those skills in that year.
So what about the multitasking part? Because that's one thing that I know is you require a lot of when you're in that position.
So there are various aspects, and I think here the team building is most important. I have to credit two important pillars in my team. One is Dr. Rohan Palshetkar, whose potential was there, but his action was way beyond his age. I often used to tell his mother, I said, Madam, he's way beyond his age,
Thank you, sir.
Second is Dr. Pratik Tambe, who is an extremely hardworking, extremely academically brilliant person. The number two is Madam's office staff as well. We had Veena Achrekar, who was Madam's secretary then, who used to look into all her personal arrangements and things like that. And we had a few people from the from the agency, from a few of people who Madam had used for the creatives, etc. A key thing in all this, which I emphasized with the team, is that the team unity has to always be there. You have to step back 2 steps at times and let the team members express their point of view. And you have to keep your ego aside also if you want this unity to be maintained. I was in a position, so I was higher to these people in the team, if you go to see from the matter of fact.
Yeah.
But I think their contributions were much more than mine because I was just one part of it. If they would not have been there, the contributions or the work would not have been threefold. So you have to have a strong team. Dr. Sunita this year also has a very strong team, and so also many of the other presidents. But I think the key is the unity, and the unity has to be started. So many times, like how the cricketers have the huddle talk. I've had a huddle talk with all you guys and said that what we need to do if we faced a challenge and how we need to counteract it, etc. And also a lot of appreciation and acknowledgement has to go for small things, because it just inspires, encourages all the team members, not just within, but beyond, to do much more.
So my last two serious questions before we get to the fun part of the podcast. One is, how were you able to say no politely? I think that's a skill that needs to be really picked up.
Okay. So usually what most of my close people say that, I'll make a very straight face and say no. Okay.
Yeah.
If I agree on something. But like I told you here, the straight face was there, but I just took time to say no. So the other person kept on putting the point of view. And then I said, listen, I agree what you're saying is your point of view, but I think in the greater good of the year, it doesn't align. So I have to say no to you. We'll think about some kind of a solution. If I thought that, yeah, perhaps there could have been
possible
some kind of, understanding or something like that.
Yeah.
A lot of this came because I worked in MOGS and also in AMOGS for a long time. And some of these situations were present that time, and I saw some of my seniors or even myself tackle them. That experience helped me a lot, because Fogsi is a much bigger canvas as compared to the two other organizations.
That's absolutely, I think that's something that we need to learn, that saying no is not a bad thing also, but there's no need to be at times, for lack of better words, we shouldn't be rude about it.
The other person should understand why you are saying no to it. And if he understands that, yeah, and respects your point of view, I think it may be taken.
Absolutely. So my last serious question to you before we begin a little bit of the fun aspects, your advice to future joint secretaries.
I think the person who most matters to you is the president. You have to align and become an integral part of the president's thought process and the president's personality. If you're able to do that, most of your year will go through smoothly. Number two, it's a role that you have taken. It's a responsible role, though it's extremely low on the hierarchy. It's the last in the hierarchy, but it's an extremely significant role, and you have to give your 100% commitment to that. And last but not the least, that if you fulfill this role up to its potential, your work will be recognized, and you will rise up in your future endeavors.
I think, thank you, sir, for those inspiring words. Chatting with you about your journey of the Foxy Joint Secretaries. Well, I was lucky enough to see your entire journey for that year.
Rohan, I'm usually a very private person, and I'll not say so many things,
I know, that's why I needed to, sir, pull you out of your comfort zone. You managed to do that to me in that 1 year. So now I've got the opportunity. I thought I'll pull you onto this side as well. But sir, honestly, it's been a wonderful conversation. But now, before I let you go, sir, I want to get to the more fun parts, not like a rapid fire, but something where I don't want to give you too much time to think. So are you ready for the quick Q&A that we're going for?
I'm
What's
always.
your Oh, perfect, sir. What's your favorite conference destination?
I think Goa
Fair
is.
enough. So what part about Goa?
I think it just chills you off. Okay, it helps you to unwind. The sea relaxes you. Okay, everybody is in good spirit and enjoying themselves. So there's
Absolutely.
there's just all the seriousness and everything goes away.
There's a
More, more,
serenity to it.
yeah.
Absolutely. Uh, Late night drafting or early morning meetings? Your preference.
Uh, Mostly late night draftings.
I think that just gets easier for all of us as well. Uh, if being joint secretary was a Bollywood movie, what would be the title?
I don't watch much Bollywood movies, but
Even if it's a Hollywood movie, we'll give you your choice, sir.
okay, maybe Captain America.
Oh, lovely. And
Because you know
if
that
you,
you have to behave, I mean, make the president uh, a
you have to keep them
superhero,
safe.
yeah, and keep them safe and, ensure that all the work is done.
Absolutely. Joint secretary, would you call it a diplomat, coordinator, or a firefighter?
I think all three, but more so a person who is your go-to person. And I think the person who is like the Rock of Gibraltar, who stands by the president, come what may.
Absolutely. And your last question, sir. My oops moment as a joint secretary.
Uh, I didn't have any. I was just thinking about it, but I don't think I really had any kind of oops moment. Perhaps the only oops moment that I had was uh, I forgot a script at one of the meetings, but luckily I didn't need it. And Dr. Nandita thought that I already had the script, so I was able to survive because of the computer up here. So I think that can happen at times. Uh, Another point would be that when you're trying to convey something to the president in a meeting and the president perceives it as something else, you know, so you wanted something else to be conveyed and uh, but that's
Lost in translation.
so that
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. It's been a pleasure having you on this Gyan Pravah podcast. It's really refreshing to see the journey that a joint secretary goes through because it's never easy for a joint secretary because they literally get plucked out of the ocean and are put in that position. And it's not through an election, it's more of a selection. So it's been lovely hearing your entire journey, sir.
I think, Rohan, my biggest satisfaction in that whole year was that the amount of community work that we were able to do and reach and ideate through policy, through programs, through advocacy, through education. I think it gives a very different virtue and meaning to what we are as doctors. So I think that was the biggest learning. You see different people, different personalities, different cultures, different problems as you travel the length and breadth of the country. You have to take it in your stride. And most importantly, do things which are the best for those Foxy members and also for the women of India. Not just that, you have to ensure at all times that the president and Foxy's image is always flying high.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir, for those
I must,
inspiring words.
I must also put on record because otherwise it'll be not correct and appropriate. The sacrifice done by my family members, my wife, my children, my parents for that 1 year, my staff at the hospital, my patients for being tolerant, for in my absence. So all my friends, family, staff, and patients supported me through this.
I was just about to say that Iravati ma'am, Mukta, and Rama would have otherwise been really upset, and Ragini as well. But thank you, sir, for remembering everyone who's been an integral part of your journey. This podcast has been truly inspirational. You've given us some really fantastic stories. And honestly, sir, I don't think I would have found a better podcaster to talk about the life of a joint secretary rather than you. So thank you, sir, for taking out your valuable time. And to all our viewers out there, tune in every day at 8 p.m. for the Gyan Pravah podcast. Amay sir, you just want to say something before we sign off?
Well, I just want to say that I think Rohan, by bringing out the role of the joint secretary, you've realized that a lot of hard work has to be done in a presidential tenure. I think every joint secretary, once selected, steps up to the role, and I think that it's an important role. But there's a lot that can be done. I could achieve many things. More can be achieved because even though the time is short, the canvas can be more. And I think the role is evolving to a greater extent. And I'm happy that Fogsi is producing an extremely great class of joint secretaries.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you to all the viewers again. And we'll see you again tomorrow with the next committee chairperson's podcast at 8 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you. Good night, everyone.